Hi everyone and welcome to Book My Therapy. Today we have Abrar Raza. He's a psychologist and therapist from India with over 12 years of experience helping people understand, regulate, and heal their emotional patterns. Before stepping into full time therapy, he spent several years in the corporate sector, which shaped his practical, relatable approach to mental health. His work focuses on men's emotional well being and relationship issues and Muslim mental health, combining psychological insight with a warm, culturally rooted understanding of people's struggle. With that being said, I want to take this moment to welcome you, Abrar. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Neha, for this invitation. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Thanks for asking. So, I have a few questions for you.
Mhm.
Uh, so, the first one being about your journey. So, you have spent over a decade helping people understand and regulate their emotions. When you look back,
Mhm.
what originally pulled you towards psychology, and how has your perspective on emotional health evolved since then?
If I reflect on this question, I mean, this is the question that gets asked most often than not. Uh, I think I was sub. I believe I was meant for this profession somehow. I used to work with corporate organizations. I was not originally meant to become a psychologist. And I worked with three different corporate organizations initially after my graduation. And during those few years of being an employee in corporate sectors, I I had to go through a lot of my personal struggles of mental health and emotional well-being, and that gave me a lot of insight into understanding and looking and reflecting at the within the psychology of human beings, and knowing that why some of us are doing great while most of us are struggling in certain setup, right? And there has been no particular parameter or concrete evidences which says a segment of people are destined to be suffering while other segment of people are not. There is no such demarcation. There's no such provision like that. So anyone from any walk of life, from any segment and sector, uh, has their vulnerability which will push them into suffering of the kind, sorry, suffering of the kind which will be of a mental sickness, emotional sickness of any kind, right? So from there I started thinking about doing something of my own first, working on my own self first, and then I got a click that perhaps I should start doing something professionally to help other people as well. Because along the way, I also was able to informally guide and help some of the people.
Beautiful. So, is it good to say that your workplace did impact how you see mental health and it did play a big role in who you are today as a therapist?
That's true. That's right. And most of my work is, dedicated, or most of my clientele come from corporate sectors because I have a very deep and genuine understanding of the field. And yeah, basically, you can say that.
That's good to know. So, the next one is about you growing up in India and also working with people from different culture and religious backgrounds. How have your own experiences shaped the way you show up as a therapist in the room?
I think India is a beautiful country, and it has such a diverse set of nuances in the even in the suffering of the people, that uh, you can't be an expert of Indian people, no matter in how many regions and states you might have practiced. So there are always a surprise element that might show up at your doorstep in the form of someone carrying their own cultural background or religious backgrounds, and their own set of biases and prejudices, that you got to always remain a student uh, of of Indian helping Indian people. We I have learned this through my years of practice, that I should not be setting I should not be setting myself as a kind of person who deals with only this segment, or probably any other specific segment or help for the people. And so I think I would say uh, it's safe when I would end up providing help to people, uh, while I remain open to the idea that a lot many times every case and every person will carry their own set of personality and background with them. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, you did. In fact, I totally agree with you. Even though we come from the same country, the cultural nuances and our religious background does impact the way we function in everyday life. So, next question is about therapy. So, for a listener who has never been to therapy, how would you explain what therapy actually is?
Mhm. I would say I would say in the most layman terms possible. I would say therapy is a process for you, someone who is reaching out for help, to become more than what you already are, because what you already are is not sufficient, because of which you must be troubled, affected, suffering, and facing challenges. So therapy helps you become more, or at least reach to a level of you, uh, which your life situation circumstances wants from you. Yeah, I put it like that.
Okay. And then, how does a typical session look with you? What happens in your first session? In a moment, the client
Hmm.
logs in or walks in until they leave. So, the reason to ask this question is to know what can one expect when they are scheduling a session
Hmm.
with you.
All right. Is always something which focuses on understanding the needs of the client who is reaching out, and understanding point A and point B a little more briefly and deeply, knowing where the person is as of now and where the person wants to be, which is point B, and to be able to come up with a roadmap or a structure, not necessarily to be shared with the person himself or herself, but rather to keep as a note, and also to be able to assess how many sessions or for how long it's going to take for somebody in that particular setup and state, which is point A, to reach point B, and to be able to set right expectations, a time frame, structure of therapy for ongoing weeks or months, and also set up a realistic goal and expectations, which should also be aligned with the person's own hopes and dreams and aspirations. So in this session, we mostly go about listening to the person's uh, expectations from therapy sessions, and a little bit of understanding where this person is coming from, and how much effort or how much work it might take for this person to be able to be where this person wishes to be. Because one of the primary agenda or goal, at least in my therapy sessions, in the first session, is always to understand uh, how many how long this might take, from a very primary question, which is how much it is going to cost.
Yeah, I mean, definitely expectation setting is something that is really important, and the more clearer both
Yeah.
parties are, it helps set the tone for the rest of the session. So I thank you
Right.
for sharing that one. The next is about therapy myth. So people think that therapy is only for the people who are really broken or have a severe diagnosis. In your
Yeah.
experience and view, who is therapy for, and when does it make sense to consider it?
It's for everybody and anybody. Uh, I mean, anybody and everybody, literally. Uh, Therapy is definitely not for those who are satisfied with themselves and how they are working and how they're functioning is really working out for them. Even if they are suffering, let's say if people are letting them know that you might be depressed, or you're worried, or you are stressed, or you have anxiety, but the person himself or herself doesn't believe that this person really needs help, right? Reaching out, somebody getting pushed into therapy sessions is not a good idea. to begin with. And they might end up changing their mind later on. That's a different scenario altogether.
So the next section is about emotions, overthinking, and everyday struggles.
Hmm.
So you specialize in emotional regulation. So when someone says, I feel overwhelmed, but I don't even know what I'm feeling, where do
Yeah,
you usually start with them?
yeah. So a little unorthodox way of starting that point would be I do not really begin with understanding those feelings or sensations right then and there. I practice CBT. I am cognitive behavioral therapy. So I begin with understanding, listening to this person's life and a bigger picture of what this person is doing, what's going on in his or her life, what is his or her day-to-day life and activities. And so after listening to things which this person has to share, for instance, we begin at a certain points or situations or circumstances which has a highest possibility of this person bringing in some kind of overwhelm, some kind of anxiety, which this person might not be aware of. Because what I have noticed, uh, we people generally, at least in Asia, or maybe at least in India, we are not very attuned to recognizing and understanding our emotions. Uh, we let alone be labeling it. So the overwhelm could be many other things. And so to understand what really overwhelm means for this person, we got to understand the context. And to understand the context, we first also need to understand where this person is coming from and what all is going on in this person's life. So my approach is little a long-term help rather than a quick, immediate solution, right? At the same time, asking those important questions also make this person little distracted from the overwhelm which this person must be carrying in the therapy session. And but yes, towards the end of the conversation, if this is happening in a session setup, I end up providing some of the important tools and techniques to be able to manage the overwhelm in a short term for a short term help. But my approach almost always and almost always all the cases is always a more permanent and more effective therapeutic result that I should be able to deliver rather than person reaching out for therapy sessions after every few months or few years.
Insightful to know that, overwhelm is not necessarily what you see on the surface level, but it could be related to some deep rooted anxiety or procrastination or rumination. So, you said that you use CBT, right? So, what is CBT and
Mhm,
how does it impact
mhm.
in the client's life?
CBT is a form of therapy. I mean, and what it does is it really addresses the core issues of the person's belief system. Right? A person's belief system designs how this person thinks and processes information and circumstances and situations around. And so a lot many times what you would notice that two people in exactly same situations and scenarios facing maybe uh, s- exactly the same situation, circumstances and issues, they are both reacting very differently. One may be suffering, the other one may be not suffering or maybe even doing better, thriving in fact. And that's where the answer lies, that what's going on, what's so different about these two people, how come they are reacting differently to those two different scenarios and situations, right? So the lot of answers lie in the belief systems which gets formed in the formative years through your upbringing, through schooling, through colleges, the way because of the people you spend time with, because of the colleges you went to, schools you went to, maybe because of the neighbors they were there in your life and all of that.
In your opinion, do you think belief systems can change?
Wow, that's very interesting and very important question at the same time. Yes, it gets changed, but it cannot be forced into change uh, unless someone has arrived at a mental state and or at least has made an emotional decision that this has been obstructing me, this has been this has been an obstacle for me, and I can notice this belief or any kind of beliefs for that matter is somehow very clearly uh, creating havoc in my life, for instance. And if someone has made that decision, the decision itself, not knowing how to, what are the steps, even the decision itself is a very good start to begin with. And then and there, you could make at least maybe 30, 40, 50% of the progress right then and there. Because your brain is very powerful. Once it has, figured out something about your own self, and you are really serious about doing something about it, right? Changing it. It's only a matter of time. If you might not be seeking any external help, it's only a matter of time you might end up arriving where you wish you want to be. So yeah, it can be changed. With therapy, it becomes a lot easier. But at the same time, even in therapy sessions, it takes quite a bit of time in some cases for someone to really arrive there and make a decision that, I wish to make the change. Yes, consciously and vocally, a lot of people might end up agreeing that, yes, I got to change this. This is not good. This is not working out for me. But the shift has to be on a very subconscious level. It has to come from deep-rooted emotions. Yeah.
Beautifully said. This conversation reminds me actually of a book that I was reading. It
Yeah.
was on trauma and recovery. And in that, the author was writing about a case study of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you imagine? Like, she carried a narrative that was deep rooted in her for 60 years of her life.
Yeah.
And 60 years is not a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was only when she lost her husband, when she went to therapy, she got to know that not being good enough was what was she was carrying, because
Yeah.
this was what was ingrained in her system
Mm-hmm.
when she was a child by her dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm
that's
not
how.
surprised. Yeah, that's an interesting case. And in fact, if you look closely, this case become so spectacular only because it was brought in the forefront and it was discussed, right? But in 90% or maybe 99% of the cases, people die without even realizing or recognizing something like that was going on in their life, in their mindset, in their mental health. And it's true for almost every developing or poor nations on all over the globe. It's very unfortunate that we almost all of us die without realizing, recognizing, becoming aware, and it becoming apparent to us that something is not right with us. And we just accept it as a matter of fate and as a matter of fact that this is how I am and this is who I am. And so we carry on with the broken system that is working here with us for the entire life because of so many reasons. Yeah. So it's a sad reality we live in.
Yeah. So, when does the breaking point ever arise, if it does? Like, so does something has to happen very bad, or when does one realize that, probably something is not right
Hmm.
with me?
All right. This is a multifaceted question, I would say. Uh, Breaking point arrives when we have decided, when our brain has decided to give up. All right. But then there is also something else that happens there. Most of us, we carry on with that broken system, and we carry on like that without really even imagining or thinking that I might need help or I should seek help. All right. So very few of us, I mean, even to this day, I would say globally, maybe 1% of the population, or maybe two, I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a huge figure. People, at least I would say that for India for sure, people actually are able to recognize and realize and understand that they are suffering and they should seek help, and they have reached that breaking point. Um, so because of lack of awareness, lack of education, we are not being taught in the schooling system and education system that, just like our physical health, there is also something called mental health, and you should keep an eye on that. You should also know, because just like how you have fever today, there are days wherein you could be feeling sadness or gloomy, and if something becomes chronic in physical health condition, something like that can also happen in the mental health, uh, with your mental health. So we are not aware, right? And because of which we keep on traveling past our breaking point. And so if some of us are fortunate enough to be aware that there is something that exists, a help of some kind for mental health, uh, we still have another barrier to cross, that should I reach out? Should I go and seek help? And then even a further minuscule percentage reaches out for help. And then even further minuscule percentage actually reaches out to right kind of help. And then further minuscule percentage actually ends up coming back with complete recovery and doing much better in life. So yeah,
Too many layers, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
I believe that happens predominantly because we are in a culture where self sufficiency is given like prime importance. And if you ask for help, then already there is a lot of stigma associated with psychotherapy and mental health. And then when you go and ask for help for your own mental health, then that's another ball game altogether. So,
It's far too complex. I mean, yeah, I
yeah.
mean, you have covered most of it. Uh, Absolutely. But it's a rabbit hole.
Mm. Yeah. So, well, the next section is about relationships, culture, and modern life. So, you work with
Mhm.
relationships, marriage, and divorce, right? So, what emotional patterns do you repeatedly see that quietly erode relationships over time? And what are
Mhm.
some healthier patterns would you advise on this platform for couples to take in their lives?
All right. I'm sorry. The pattern that I've noticed in past decade or so, the expectations with which uh, our people carry certain expectations from their partners, or the dissatisfaction that arise over a period of time once they are in the relationship or in the marriage. Two things basically. One, we all have become so attuned and so aware of so-called healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships through social media, that we all are looking for that unicorn in our life, right? Something which fits almost every other criteria, and so we go on that hunt, and we end up finding somebody who does not turn out to be like that, which we are not aware of ultimately. So uh, the expectations mismatch that takes place. And secondly, uh, when when you have a lack of patience, or maybe you do not want to take it further more and give it a try and work on it and fix it and work for yourself, uh, rather than we end up thinking from this point of view that this is one life, right? And so uh, let's not waste any more time. Rather, I should be looking out for a better partner, and there are better opportunities out there, and there are more options out there. And because of that, the relationship starts suffering, uh, and because of which, even in country like India, uh, relationships suffer. I'm particularly talking about relationships in the matter of romantic relationships and marriage, right? I hope that was your question, because relationship carries almost all other
Yeah.
domains as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right.
That was, yeah, romantic relationship and intimate partnerships. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, perhaps two factors play a very crucial role in creating a dent in relationships and or marriages for that matter.
Yeah, I can also imagine like how social media literally like shapes the way we behave in our daily life. And
Yeah.
also for the longest time, Bollywood, thanks to Shah Rukh Khan.
Yeah, that you remind me of something very important. Absolutely. We have learned through Bollywood how to express emotions and what emotions truly are. We culturally, inherently, we are not attuned to recognizing our emotions so deeply and so well. As much as I have seen people in West being able, and they are so attuned to their emotions and how they are aware of their emotions, and they are able to label their emotions so accurately, and they feel free to do that. But here, not just the lack of vocabulary, but also we don't know. what emotions are we experiencing. Most of us are imitating certain emotions we might have seen in Bollywood movies or maybe in novels or something like that, and we are merely trying to imitate it, right?
That's really scary, right? Now that I think about it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's getting better, I hope. Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you say that social media, the constant comparison, and
Hmm.
work stress, all of it combined, is something that would definitely add to this? Especially we are in 2025 compared to what you would see a decade ago.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of change, a lot of things have changed in last not just 10 years, maybe 15, 20 years, since the time internet arrived and social media became far more popular gradually. But yes, things have become far more grave and serious in last 10 years, absolutely. And to an extent, I believe and I see social media playing a very dangerous and difficult role in our lives. To an extent, I would say that just like how smoking used to be long time before, it used to be a very popular thing. People never knew that it causes cancer or it causes dangerous diseases of any kind, and people just used to smoke like packets of it uh, endlessly without realizing what they're doing to their life, what they're doing to their body. So I believe very time near time in a very near future we would have such labels or some restrictions on social media that it causes distress in your life. It causes cancer in your life. It brings dissatisfaction in your life. It brings depression in your life or all sorts of things. It is creating far more dangerous effect than good effects that it was meant to bring. So yeah, absolutely.
And I have noticed this thing in my access to social media as well. So this is a personal question, probably.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
so when I want to relax or when I want to just take my mind off something that is extremely stressful, I intend to go to Instagram and scroll. And once I
Mhm.
start doing that, I notice 15 minutes, 20 minutes just gone. I have no idea
Mhm.
where.
Yeah,
By the time I realize that, my God, I have just wasted 15 minutes watching somebody either dance, give knowledge about something random that I don't even need in my daily life. The main goal to access social media, which was to take my mind off something or to relax, is not achieved. I end up feeling
yeah.
more confused or overwhelmed in my
Mhm.
head, and it takes me time to bring myself back. So this is, I think, happening to me because of excess of
Yeah,
whatever we may say.
yeah. And
But it
and the good thing is that you are aware about yourself, right? Most of us are not. Many different cases, different ways in which social media created havoc on relationships, and not just on relationships, on the quality of life, on the health conditions, on making relationships poorer. Where the divorces cannot happen. I mean, other kinds of relationships like parents and children and brothers and sisters and things like that. People are not connected anymore the way they are meant to be connected. Just to on a side note, for the same very reason, when I realized that what social media is doing to the world, I stopped my social media posts. I used to create regular videos on YouTube, ironically, and I had social media, good running social media account, Facebook accounts and whatnot, and I stopped all of that. Right, I almost deleted all the posts, made all the videos private and whatnot, just so that I do not become the part of the system I'm stopping people from. So maybe I continue to be that because because there are so many other ways in which I'm getting information or being told that how this is something I should do, to be able to reach out to people. But I think I even without doing all of that for last few years, I'm able to do fine, right? I don't need social media. So
That's a really interesting take and something that tells me about your integrity as well. You are practicing what you're preaching.
yeah.
So That's a very good quality. So thank you for sharing that one. But I realized that there are a lot of therapists and a lot of mental health professionals who are online and who would share their knowledge and also their experiences about what happens in the therapy room without explicitly stating their clients or something on those lines. And out of my own curiosity, when I visited a few of them, I noticed that their calendars were booked like 1 year in advance or 1.5 year in advance. And not only that, these are licensed
Mhm.
professionals or people who are not licensed professionals and have a huge social media fan following because of what they share. Um, it sounds like really interesting to have your insight or your
Yeah.
viewpoint. Like without even having a social media presence, you are able to get clients and then work really well. So,
Yeah,
how
yeah. I
does
mean, not just me. I mean, I hope, sorry, your question was complete, right?
yeah, no, I just wanted to add, like, because, yeah, building a social media account and building credibility online is something that has been very important for
Mm-hmm.
everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
to see that's not necessary is something that is really refreshing because this is the source of our problem, right, in today's day and age. So, yeah.
I could go on and on this question, but I would try to be very concise and precise at the same time. Uh, the help that we perceive we are getting out of social media videos and reels, it's just giving us a sense of help. It's most often, in most of the cases, in almost all the cases, it's not helping anybody really and truly in a more transformative way. That's the way I believe. It might seem like, yeah, I heard this. This is what I'm experiencing. Okay, this is what has been going on in my life, right? I would say every social media videos and posts out there is marketing. All right, and that's true about it. It's marketing. It is meant to attract clients, right? And from my own personal experience, the kind of clients that I used to get via social media is not the kind of clients I would want. Uh, I might change this opinion tomorrow, but today I'm sure that people who reach out because of your social media videos or reels have a different kind of a commitment level, right? You might create a scarcity by booking your calendar, or maybe you are actually busy, right? But then, why are you creating those videos when I believe that any kind of video, maybe you create a hour long or 5 hour long video of any kind of disorder or issues that somebody is facing. I guarantee you, even if that person watches that same video 10 times, that person would end up finding nothing. Nothing might have ended up changing in this person's life, or scenarios or disorders of any kind. It actually helps a person seek validation, right? The person feels better by knowing that he or she is not alone, and such cases exist, and this is the kind of disorder I have, perhaps, and it creates a sort of acceptance in his or her own mind that I'm not fighting this battle alone, and I'm not alone in the world, and this is real, and I'm not imagining this. Yes, so far maybe those things really could help somebody to some degree, absolutely, somebody who is totally hopeless and somebody who is totally not aware of it. I will not say it's not creating any kind of impact at all, maybe that much, but as far as transformation is required, as far as real change is required, and permanent change is required, I don't think videos do any good. That's my personal opinion. This is not coming out of a research. Maybe there is a research that exists which might be really opposite or contrary to what I'm saying, but I'm speaking it from my own personal experience.
Yeah, and it is valuable and it is definitely refreshing to know that, everything is not social media.
Absolutely, it is. I mean, I know many professionals, I mean, really good professionals, therapists, psychologists, or psychiatrists who do not have social media presence at all. And if you go on looking for them, if you go on trying to speak with them, they will not have time. They will not have time to give you. They are already pre-booked for months, maybe, and they are not present on social media. So But I would say that the percentage of really good experts on social media versus really good experts off social media, I would say it would be like 1% is to 99%, or maybe 5% to 95%.
Beautiful. Thank you for
So,
sharing that. Yeah.
yeah, no problem. Yeah, I feel very passionate about this thing because I see a lot of damages being done. Because look, when you are on social media, you're not just watching those helpful videos, right? You end up watching a lot of other crap, and which is not good for your mental health, which is not good for your well-being, which is not good for any of those things. We are so badly hooked to this drug that exists, we don't even realize it. And it would take us decades maybe to realize that what we were selling freely,
Yeah.
it's not free. It takes away your life and time and your attention and your energy. It sets a lot of wrong expectations. It spoils your ideas. It takes away your creativity. It does a lot of damage.
So the next last section, this is the last one
Mm-hmm.
about the future and
Mm-hmm.
talking about social media. So there is a lot going on in the world of mental health, wherein there are a lot of fitness apps, mental health fitness apps, preventive care, digital therapy platforms. So how do you see therapy and emotional health care changing in the next few years, especially in India?
Frankly speaking, I have no clue. I mean, this is a far bigger question for anybody to answer because a lot of things are changing so fast, so rapidly, and it will be a sheer arrogance to, tell anything in a most, in a confident manner. But I would say that anything in mental health space is good thing. Maybe it would fail, maybe it would do good, but at least we are thinking, at least we are doing something, at least we are trying something. So uh, I mean, all those mostly AI, I hope, right? What all things did you mention? I'm sorry. Apart from that,
Fitness apps related to your mental health, more
right?
inclining towards preventive care,
Mm-hmm.
recording your
Mm-hmm.
mood swings, like what's happening right now and whatnot. So something on
Right,
the lines of
right,
apps and
right, right. So I'm not really updated with the research, what research is saying, and if there has been any research on these apps or how they are doing it. But one thing is for sure, if there is something like that and that's helping people, it's good. But at the same time, we got to see a larger time frame and how it really pans out, and if really people are really getting help or not. And not really few people, or maybe 5 or 10%. Definitely there are always be going to be 5, 10, 20% who must be getting some kind of help from these apps or from these tools. But if only if, let's say, a majority of people are able to get help, then we would consider that as a success. uh, so I would not have any concrete answer on this. I'm sorry.
oh yeah, I mean that's absolutely okay and absolutely normal to not know what the future looks like.
Yeah.
Especially in the times when AI and digital apps and everything is revolutionizing how
Yeah.
therapeutic relationships really work and what the future looks like. So please don't be sorry. That's perfectly okay.
No, yeah, and absolutely. Look, not just therapy and just medicine is not the only way. And I am a believer of open possibilities, and I don't keep anything against any revolution or any change that might create further better and more optional solutions for someone who is suffering in any way and any manner possible. So if anything is doing any good, bravo. I mean, that should continue and that should do well. Absolutely. We just got to see how it really pans out in longer time frame.
For sure, for sure. So this is the last question towards the end of our podcast. If every listener took just one small step after this episode to move toward greater emotional clarity and resilience, what is
Mhm.
the one step you would recommend?
Just one step. All right. If it's just one, then I would say learn and start to get bored. In fact, boredom is also a kind of an affordability today. I mean, gone are the days when boredom used to be a bad thing. I'd say boredom is a luxury today. And if you can afford boredom, if you can even sustain boredom, that would be a really great thing for mental clarity or your mental health or well-being. Our brain is very powerful. It can do a lot of good to you if you could really give it some time. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this really coincides with what I was reading yesterday. I don't know
Mhm.
if there is how true this is, because there is yet research to be done to give citations and prove
Yeah.
what what I'm going to say. There was a research about a person who did not access social media for a year in Indonesia.
Mhm.
Absolutely no internet, no phone connection, nothing. And the way his brain switched because he was bored is something that does not exist in today's world.
Wow.
He, like you are saying, got clarity. He was really able to, and I'll just give a hint here. And he was able to, this is as per the research that I read on social media. So there is some credibility to it, but not until there is citation and who's doing that research on who, and all that is proved. He was literally able to, what blew my mind was that he was literally able to observe shadows for 45 minutes straight, watch clouds, watch,
Yeah.
experience the change in seasons. This is so basic, but we have lost touch. Where can people find you when they would like to book a session with you?
They can just Google me. There are so many ways to reach out to me. My website is also there, abraraza.com. Uh, yeah, sure.
I will add those links in the YouTube description so people have
Thank
access
you.
to your calendar or a way to reach out to you. So, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, same here. It was really wonderful, discussing some very unique and very important questions. Loved answering them. Yeah, glad to be here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right.